Sox in the Bronx. And what a series that we're going to have up on deck this weekend, because if we take a look, Joe Raineri, and set the table for this, the Toronto Blue Jays are in first place in the AL East, up by 4 games over the Yankees and 5.5 games over the Boston Red Sox, which means in layman terms, the New York Yankees have jumped back over the Boston Red Sox. How do you do that? That's impossible. I'll tell you how. One team, the Red Sox, loses 3 games in a row. One team, the Yankees, win 5 games in a row. And now these two teams play each other. Can the Yankees extend their lead over the Boston Red Sox? Time will tell. But this is the perfect series for the Yankees coming up, playing great baseball, hitting home.
And that's what we've kind of missed over the last couple of seasons, right? It's over the last couple of years, Donnie, the Red Sox-Yankees rivalry kind of lost its luster there because the Red Sox were struggling. We weren't playing meaningful games. Red Sox weren't playing meaningful games this time of year over the last couple of seasons in the rebuild. And yet, well, here we are in a game that in a series at the middle to end of August. That's going to mean a lot. So, baseball is always better off when the Yankees and the Red Sox are relevant towards this time of year.
Oh, no doubt about it. You take a look at Lucas Giolito's statistics on the season, 8-2 overall, 3.63 ERA, 87 strikeouts. You look at Lewis Heel on the mound, 1-1 so far. Again, coming off of that injury, just getting back into the rotation, 5.14 ERA and only 14 Ks on the year. Once again, limited starts as opposed to Giolito, much more starts. If you look at the analytical markets here, Joe, over the past 45 days, Lucas Giolito, 470 xFIP number, and then Luis Heel is sitting at a 424. So might we get some runs? We'll find out. But also, it's cooler, Joe, in the Northeast this week. That's hurricane rumbling up the coast, not really affecting us weather-wise per se, where it's going to be a hurricane in New Jersey and in New York. But there are windy conditions, but also more importantly, cooler temperatures with a wind blowing in. Typically, we talk about, Joe, August the 21st in the Bronx. Hey, what's it, 92 degrees maybe at first pitch at this point? It's cooler temperatures tonight to get this series started off, so something certainly to keep an eye on. But if we are keeping an eye on, again, the betting race in the AL East. We told you the standings here. Blue Jays, Yankees, Red Sox, Rays, and Orioles. But the betting markets have the Jays here at a minus 340 price, being in first place to hold on and win that division. Then we have the Yankees at a plus 330, but the Red Sox at a 12-1. Now, they're only a game and a half back of the Yankees here, not playing great baseball right now, but that is a big price difference between the Yankees and the Red Sox, Joe.
It is a huge difference. And keep in mind, too, as I'm watching the board get lit up here in real time, Donnie, that there is a serious pros versus Joes line movement in this game tonight on the total. On the total, though, because this opened up 8.5 overnight, and I am seeing a huge amount of volume of tickets on the over by the public, and yet I'm now seeing 7.5s popping up in the marketplace, Donnie, which tells me we got the public expecting home runs, and boy, oh boy, the guys moving the market are thinking we are going to get some unders here tonight in those chilly temperatures and the wind blowing in. But I think this series is going to go a long way in deciding whether or not you think there's value on that future price for the Red Sox to take over the Yankees at some point here. This is a big series for these two teams heading into the weekend.
It is, and you brought up some very good points, because a lot of the times the public is going to weigh into, and the key notion is always you're only as good as the starting pitcher on the mound the next day, but also, did you have to travel the night before? Are the temperatures in the ballpark that you're playing at differently here? Now, you might say, like, well, Donnie, George Steinbrenner Field is the same exact dimensions of, Tampa between the Bronx, New York, and Yankee Stadium. You would be correct. But you're not bringing 88-degree temperatures, super muggy conditions down there, and no outfield seats, which means that the wind is blowing out in Tampa. It's really blowing out. That's not the case in the Bronx. Now, the wind is blowing in tonight, but we'll see if things change. But most people look at those Yankees lineups and what they did the past couple nights. It has to continue. It doesn't happen. By the way, did you see Atlanta and the Chicago White Sox last night? What did we get, 20 runs the night before? 1-0 last night? And we didn't even have great pitchers, per se, on the mound. They're name-brand pitchers on the mound as things change up. But that's some good stats Joe's bringing along. Public's loving the over. The Sharps are saying, not so fast. Drop that number down, because an 8.5 to a 7.5 is a really big jump here. World Series odds, by the way, Joe, Dodgers still the favorites, plus 330. Doesn't matter if Ohtani's getting blown up or they're losing in Colorado. Followed by the Brewers, Phillies, Tigers, Blue Jays, and those Yankees at a 10-1 price. Same price as the Jays. How about that?
There is literally value all over that board, except with the Los Angeles Dodgers. And again, Donnie, when's the last time we got a back-to-back World Series champion?
Yeah. I don't know. Was it the Phillies? I'm going to say Phillies, even though it wasn't the Phillies. How about that? That's my answer. Hour number 2, people coming up next on the early line. Get right here on the grid, baby. It's lively in these streets on the early line. It's what we do. It's a Thursday. We're preparing you for football tonight, for football this weekend, for Major League Baseball, anything you need, which includes bullets flying through offices in training facilities for the Kansas City Chiefs. You come to the right place. It's the early line. It's Donnie Rightside. It's Joe Raineri. Now we'd like to welcome in Tom Vecchio here, my counterpart on Pro Baseball Today, each and every Sunday, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. to get down with all the latest Major League Baseball breakdowns. A lot of fun to be had. Tom Vecchio, it's a Thursday. How we feeling, brother?
I'm doing good. A little bit earlier than usual today. We got a lot to get to. College football starting this weekend. Donnie, know you'll be doing the show. As of now, I kind of lean Clemson, -3.5 at least to open the weekend.
Clemson. We'll see what happens. That first game that's going to start off top 25 action in Dublin, Ohio. We'll all be watching. And that comes on just directly after SportsGrid's College Football Today with Donnie Rightside and Joe Lisi. But that's neither here nor there, Tom. We got to get talking about Major League Baseball. You know me. Yeah. I'm a Phillies fan. Can you answer the Philadelphia Phillies guaranteeing every day double-digit strikeouts for their pitchers and everybody in lineup, including Max Kepler, now going off? What's in the water in Philadelphia?
Honestly, maybe it's the Zach Wheeler injury where it's like a rallying moment for them, right? Yeah. Where you lose your pitcher. And listen, Chris Sanchez has been awesome this season, kind of without this, but it's like, okay, we gotta step up. We have a chance to just secure the division. We got a good team coming in here with the Mariners, and we're looking at 15, 20 hits day in and day out, pitcher stepping up. Duran with the foot, he got hit, but then he's back. Like, you're just having all the pieces fall into place, and they're playing their best, and they're not fully healthy. So technically, further down the line, they're going to be getting better as the season comes to a close.
Well, nobody between the Yankees and the Phillies, we should be able to get 40 hits a game, 30 runs, and everything else here. But different ballpark, different atmosphere tonight in the Bronx with the Yankees and the Red Sox. What are we going to get in this game tonight?
I as a Yankees fan, I like the way that they're playing. Winning games is good. A part of me wants to take the Red Sox at least at plus money in some of these games just for at least some type of emotional hedge, I guess. But I'm not expecting Luis Gil to be out there for a long duration. This will have a true playoff and type environment. So any early trouble, I think pitchers are going to get pulled quickly on both sides, really. So let's go to Luis Gil under 5.5 strikeouts, -138. It's a little bit of juice on this one, but I really do like it. He's only had 3 starts so far, 3, 7, 4 strikeouts from him. Again, I just don't expect him going super deep into the game when it's all said and done. The Red Sox offense has been struggling as of late, but traditionally they do hit well at Yankee Stadium. So despite the struggles that they've had, if you told me Gil goes out there 5 innings, only 2 runs, and he ends up with 3 or 4 strikeouts, that's what I'm kind of expecting. I do expect the pitch count to kind of get away from him, and he'll just get pulled early.
Tommy boy, let's get down to Florida here, St. Louis and Tampa Bay. Here's always some of the stuff that I love. Sonny Gray is listed at number 1 on my card today for the past 45 days with xFIP here to 2.81. But his ERA is a 6.17. Yes. It's hard to wrap your head around. The best pitcher on the card has a 6 ERA, but that's what analytics tell you. Now, I'll also tell you this. Joe Boyle, he's got a 5.53 ERA since July 1st and a 5.20 xFIP number. He's not stopping anybody tonight. Now, you look at both of the lineups tonight. They're not that great. But again, does it have to be great when it's 85-degree temperatures and a wind blowing out in Tampa where the ball flies here tonight? What are you looking at between St. Louis and Tampa?
I'm just looking at runs. And, we saw it from Tampa, obviously some late heroics from them to tie things up last night. They got some runs across the board in the past 2 days against the Yankees, who I think we can say have a better pitching staff. It may not be great overall, but it is a better pitching staff compared to the Cardinals. And as you said, with Sonny Gray got blown up last week by the Yankees. If you look over his last 6, 7 starts, we're looking at multiple games of 6, 8 earned runs allowed. Sure, there's a couple games there with only 1 earned run. He is the best pitcher on today's slate when it's all said and done. His ERA is through the roof. His xFIP is significantly better. I would say at this point, it's like we're waiting for him to turn the corner. But it's also the end of August, and he is approaching some high innings. So I don't want to say he's running out of gas at this point. If this was May or June and he had a bad stretch of starts, I would say let's just trust Sonny Gray. This game probably falls under. He probably racks up the strikeouts. But it's the end of August. I really don't see that coming through when it's all said and done. So if we know Joe Boyle's going to give up 3 or 4 runs, if you tell me Sonny Gray gives up only 3, I'm not surprised. But at that point, we are pushing towards the over, and I think we're on pace for it. So give me some more runs tonight.
Gotcha.
Runs. I love it. Now, are we expecting a total and utter collapse by Milwaukee, Tom, now that they've lost 3 in a row to the Cubs and have another one this afternoon?
I don't. I'll be honest. I was typing out the Brewers money line when I was sending picks to Tommy, our producer behind the scenes. I was typing out Brewers money line.
Too many times.
And then I was looking at it and I'm like, listen, Quinn Priester's on the mound. And as long as I saw it before, it was plus money on the Brewers at that point. Imanaga on the other side, Quinn Priester. I'm like, do I want to go with the Brewers? I think I may end up on the Brewers when it's all said and done, but this is just circumstantial. Last night, Mizorowski back on the mound, a ton of wind blowing in. The total barely goes over. I don't see the Brewers losing this series. I don't want to say outright, obviously, but in this fashion to the Cubs. So give me the Brewers to bounce back today. Give me that plus money. It's obviously going to be a lower scoring game. It's a 6.5 total with more wind blowing in today. I think we fall under and the Brewers come away with the win. And the momentum that the Cubs thought they had is going to be kind of stamped out as the series comes to an end.
We just have my partner in crime on Sunday morning's Major League Baseball show known as Pro Baseball Today right here on the SportsGrid Network, Tom Vecchio. And we were talking about this series between Milwaukee and Chicago. Joe Raineri, this is an interesting one because we were talking early in the week, like what's going to happen? Hey, could we see 20-plus wins in a row for the Brewers if they just roll into Chicago and continue to blast away? That didn't happen. Now the Cubs are looking to win this series here. It's Quinn Priester versus Shota Imanaga, the left-handed pitcher for the Chicago Cubs. This game's going to start at 2:20 in the afternoon. And I don't know, like some people say, like, hey, we can have climate change because the government controls the wind and the air and the weather and stuff like that. It's the wind to ever blow out anymore in Chicago. Every single day, I'm like, okay, where's that total? Oh, it's 7.5 or less. We got 6.5s out there today. Stop the madness. Priester Imanaga. What do we see today? Apparently no offense.
Yeah, well, 6.5 now is kind of crazy. A Priester, though, is actually one of the better ground ball pitchers in baseball. He gets nearly a 60% ground ball rate here, which explains why his ERA is so low as well. And you got to love it. Imanaga is kind of the same way. These aren't guys that are going to get barreled a lot and guys lifting the ball in the air. Not that it matters with the wind blowing in. So I get why the price from a total perspective is where it is. But listen, they have done a great job of winning a lot of Priester's starts here. I think now is the time if you're going to jump back on the Brewers bandwagon. I think now might be the time to do it here at this kind of price. If you'd have said this 5 days ago, Donnie, that we could get the Brewers at this price with an opportunity to win the game with Priester on the mound, I'd take it here. I think if it ain't broke, don't fix it. This losing streak, congrats to the Cubs. But again, I think the Brewers bounce back in a big way this afternoon.
Milwaukee and Chicago, by the way, it is a favorite towards Chicago here today. Opened up overnight around that minus 142 price, Joe, but it is backtracking here. We're as low as minus 126 out there in Vegas, minus 130s at BetMGM, Bet 365. So that is going backwards, but still, you're right. A plus money price for the Milwaukee Brewers as we enter into today's action. And that game will start also in the afternoon at 2:20. Let's stay in the afternoon, 961, 962. Texas with a win over Kansas City yesterday. Now we see a favorite overnight of Patrick Corbin taking on Michael Lorenzen. It was Texas, but now we're seeing a shift over to a favorite towards Kansas City with Michael Lorenzen. A 210 start out in Kansas City, a total that is listed at 9. It's one of those games that, I do think I'll probably be involved some way, shape, or form yesterday. But when the people talk about, hey, bad beats, we like to talk about them and have it. Joe, I had a 3.5 team total in Kansas City last night. They hit a 3-run home run to start the game with the first 3 runners on base. The very next batter walked. So I had 3 runs on the board in the bottom of the first inning and a runner on base. They didn't score the rest of that game yesterday, which was painful and cost them the victory over Texas. They respond back today. How are you looking to play this game between Corbin and Lorenzen?
Well, I'm looking to, finally consistently fade Patrick Corbin in some way, shape, or form. I think the wheels are starting to come off here, Donnie. Not to mention that Kansas City, who has, I believe, the fewest home runs in Major League Baseball as a team, And yet their 6 games in which they have won 5 of 6, they have out home run the Texas Rangers 14-3. It's absolutely crazy here. I think that continues. I think Kansas City and the Bats, I'm going to back them in the first 5 here, Donnie, because once again, I think Patrick Corbin, he's running out of gas. I think the first 5 over is worth a look, but I like the Kansas City Royals to bounce back early in this one.
Yeah, we'll see what happens now. But you're right. Like usually, you know, the ebbs and flows of Major League Baseball, Joe. You struggle a little bit to plate the day before. You blast out with 7 the next day. They should win this game. And Lorenzen, by the way, his last doesn't have a lot of innings pitched. A 3.32 xFIP number to 172 ERA. We'll see if he holds up. But you're right about Patrick Corbin. Sometimes, hey, resurgence of his career. What a great season. Now we're starting to see that Patrick Corbin that we saw for the past couple years. Like, please, no, don't take him out of baseball. He is a great fade. We'll see if that continues today. San Francisco and San Diego, 4:10 start, afternoon action. Verlander versus Cease, a heavy favorite for San Diego to -188 to -190 price. They pounded San Francisco last night. San Francisco can't hit, so they probably can't hit Cease today either, Joe.
Well, you know, which Cease do we get? One that walks 19 guys in 3 innings, or what? You know, what are we going to get here? Either which way, it does feel like a pretty good under spot. Verlander pitched really well his last time out. Just they couldn't score any runs for him, and he's pitched great against the Padres. Under for me here in this one.
Yeah, great move to get Devers. Really spiked that season there for the San Francisco Giants as we look forward to the future. They just can't hit. Same story every single year. Home, away, doesn't matter. Padres were the better team last night. Padres gained a game on the Los Angeles Dodgers because the Dodgers lost in Colorado. We'll see if that changes. We have 2 more games on deck that we're going to talk about next. The Athletics and the Twins to start the day. And then also, so with the Dodgers. They bounce back with Kershaw on the mound. Come on back to your early line and find out next. You want afternoon action in Major League Baseball? We got it here, Joe Raineri, and I'm talking about Minnesota and the Athletics. You talked about the Athletics last night heading into extra innings, a 2-2 tie after they had a 2-0 lead in that game. 2-run home run last night, but I believe it was Langoliers that put one opposite field into the right field seats to give the Athletics the victory, and me, my best bet here on the show in our buy segment, which we will have at the end of the show. We're going to go 2-0. Don't you worry about that. But if we look at the game today, it's Perkins versus Urania. 2 bad pitchers on the mound. Roughly a pick 'em in any direction. You see that price point right there of a -134. They're gone. They're -115s, -120s, depending where you're shopping. But a 9.5 total. Early afternoon action in Minnesota. 2 bad pitchers. Do we get more fireworks than the 6 runs we saw yesterday in extras, Joe?
It's kind of crazy when you think about it, though. But the hottest team in the American League now for a while is the A's. They've won 16 of their last 24, Donnie, which is kind of crazy when you think about it. And now they're on the verge of sweeping the Twins, who, let's face it, just, you know, they gutted this team. They've been playing for next year, and we have known that here. So, yeah, I mean, losing 5 of their last 6, but they did get Jose Urena. Okay. Yeah, I think the A's bats continue here. I don't think there's any reason to keep fading them. The A's, yes. Are they a great team? No. Are they better than a lot of the bottom feeders? I think they are. I like the A's. And it's a team that's played together the whole year, Donnie. They're all young and they're all hungry. So I'll take the A's.
Yeah, we'll see if they can do it again today. But clutch performances yesterday. Both of those teams used a lot of their bullpen in that extra inning game. We'll see if that bears today, where it's like, hey, starters, help us out. But these aren't the starters I can tip you. Like, Urania is a bad starter. Perkins, he just threw 5 innings the last game out, 3 earned runs. Before that, 6 innings, which wasn't bad. Still 3 earned runs to start. Before that, 3 innings and 4 earned runs. So we're not looking at shutdown pitchers on the mound today. We'll see how much fun we can have in Minnesota to start that day. Mile high matchup here. The Dodgers looking to bounce back. They'll send Clayton Kershaw, the lefty, to the mound, going up against Chase Dollander. Total in this game listed at 11.5 to 12, depending on where you're shopping at. And another monster favorite for the Dodgers today, as high as 250 in the marketplace now.
Yeah, don't expect Ohtani in the lineup after he got drilled in the thigh. They had insult to injury there as pitching yesterday, where he gave up 5 runs. But in typical Dodger fashion, they have over the years dominated this Rockies team. But again, coming off of that sweep of the Padres, it felt like a letdown spot, Donnie, in this series. And that's kind of exactly what we have gotten. I like Kershaw to be able to bounce back in this spot. I like the bats to bounce back here. I'm not laying the 250, but I might consider a alternate run line, maybe lay 2 with the Dodgers at a pretty good price.
Ooh, how about this? Letdown spots we always talk about, Joe. Mid-afternoon game, New York Mets and the Washington Nationals.
Ooh.
Nationals knocked off the Mets last night. Sean Manaea, the lefty's going to go on the mound today, taking on Mackenzie Gore. The total in this game also 7.5. So they've seen that bumped up now. You see the graphic about to pop up. That's an 8. We're now seeing also 8.5s in the marketplace, and a current live favorite of -130 to -134 for the New York Metropolitans today. Can the Mets pick up a victory today? You can't go farther back. Phillies aren't playing today. You need Mets to get a victory to get a half game back.
Man, just when you think the Mets have figured something out, they throw up all over themselves yesterday. But I had mentioned it earlier. Nimmo left that game early yesterday. No word on whether or not he's going to be in the lineup here today. And he's a pretty big part of what they are doing. But they also can't hit lefties here, Donnie. We know this. The Mets have struggled here in the second half against lefties, and this is one of the better ones in Mackenzie Gore. I don't trust the Nats to score a ton of runs either, but this has got a first 5 under to me. I don't like either bullpen, obviously. So I'll take less runs early in this game, under 4.5 in the first 5 for me.
Yeah, you're going to have to keep an eye on some of those starting lineups that come out for this afternoon. I believe it's a getaway day. I don't think they're going to be playing any more baseball games. So teams looking to get out of town, we'll see how that protrudes. But also understand this, the Mets do need victories. You can't let the Phillies get a 7 or 8 game lead by the end of August and try to track them down in September. We take a look at Houston and Baltimore. Houston got out of Dodge in Detroit with a massive offensive performance of 2 runs. The reason we joke around, they didn't score the previous 3 games, and it looked like for a while they might not score in game number 4 against Detroit. Well, they did, but they still took the loss, and they're still in first place. Why? Because the Mariners can't get out of their own way right now. Alexander and Young on the mound. Not 2 good pitchers, but a total that's listed at 8.5 to 9, depending on where you're shopping at, and roughly a pick 'em. It's hard to look at Houston and say you want to back them, but they are pick 'em today for a reason, because Young isn't that good. He's had a good start. I don't know if it's his last start or the start before. He was sensational against the same Astros team, but he can't be sensational against the Astros again, or can he, Joe?
6 days ago, Donnie, he carried that perfect game into the 8th inning, and then he screwed it up himself in that spot there. But there's nothing in his metrics that tells us that anything is going to change here. He kept them off balance all day, but the reality is this is an injury-riddled Astros team that doesn't have a lot going on for it right now offensively. The lineup is banged up. They can't score. They got an 85 WRC plus over the past month. That's second to last in Major League Baseball. There's no reason to think that Brandon Young can't have success against this banged up lineup again. And you got the O's playing inspired baseball with a lot of young guys coming up. So, yeah, Baltimore for me.
How about that? Balti out here. It's hard to back Houston just because they're in such a doldrum right now. It's either they're going to break out of it by scoring double-digit runs, or they'll be like, hey, man, we got our 1 or 2 runs. We're happy with that with another loss. But also understand this. If they're lucky the Mariners aren't playing great baseball right now, because Houston is playing worse baseball. But if you both lose, nobody loses any ground on that same day. Let's take a look at the nightcap tonight. The St. Louis Cardinals in town to take on Tampa Bay, who are just happy, I guess, the Yankees and their fan base and their belongings have moved on, because that's their spring training home, and they hit a lot of home runs against them. St. Louis comes to town fresh off a terrible performance against the Marlins yesterday. Gray versus Boyle, total of 8.5, and a slight favorite here to the St. Louis Cardinals.
Yeah, it's both of these teams, right? If we thought after the first half of the season, Donnie, like we were pleasantly surprised. Could the Cardinals and the Rays make a run? But yeah, no, doesn't look like they're going to. They're on life support right now. So both these teams need to get something going. To me, it's all about the offense. Do we trust the offenses in this one? Sonny Gray's been great at home, not necessarily on the road. I think Tampa's got a slight edge in this one here, Donnie. I really do.
I like St. Louis just because the pitching matchup, but again, it's just odd. Like Sonny Gray's got a 6 ERA, but an unbelievably low xFIP. Like something has to give tonight in that environment. And then take a look at Boyle, who's just bad on both sides to me. It's not a great team in the Cardinals. The Cardinals aren't going anywhere. How much life is going to be in that building? There'll be 10,000 fans watching. We just want to see that ball travel a little bit. I look at that 8.5, and I just think it's like a setup. Like you want to take the over 8.5, Joe. And it's like, yeah, it makes some sense. High ERAs, and we wind up somehow with a 3-2 game because the Yankees aren't on the other side bashing home runs left and right. It's Contreras, it's Newt Bar as opposed to that you're bashing out home runs with Aaron Judge and the boys there and like Giancarlo Stanton. But that's the Major League Baseball card today, Joe. Game number 1, once again, starts at 1:10 this afternoon, and the night game at 7:35, and away you go into a full Friday slate. So Major League Baseball card, handicapped, checked and ready. The final segment of the show today, you know what we do. It's bye. We're going Major League Baseball. We're going 2-0 today. But I think it's a pretty good card where there are angles with not a lot of great pitchers, which is always a good sign if you want some runs.
Yeah, no, getaway days are always interesting. And we've got a couple of teams here, though, that you can feel the pressure starting to mount. You got to start racking up some wins this time of year, especially, Donnie, when you're supposed to win and you're a favorite like the Mets. You got to get it done here. This is a big game for them. And Milwaukee got to stop the bleeding here. Can't win 14 and then lose 8 straight.
Yeah, heavy favorite, by the way, out in Colorado for Clayton Kershaw. Why is that big again? Look, you just had a great series against the Padres. Don't slip back. You get another Padres victory today. You get another Dodgers loss in Colorado. And now we're starting to look at that vice grip tightening here as we get to the final weeks of August into the month of September. But again, a good Major League Baseball card. Not a lot of great pitchers here. And also Boston and New York starting it off tonight at 7:15. That's something to watch. You sweep that series, get out of town, people. You'll be making your way up the standing. Bringing down the house on the early line. It's how we do it. It's a Thursday, and boy, oh boy, did we set the table. We got some U.S. Open tennis talk squeezed into here. We had Tom Vecchio giving out some plays this morning. We covered the NFL and its doubleheader tonight that you will be watching, as well as Major League Baseball. The entire card has been handicapped all the way through. But this is the part of the show that we love to reach out to the public and see where they're going in our Fade the Public poll. Fade them, and maybe the public's looking to fade the Boston Red Sox, or maybe Joe Raineri, they're looking to fade the New York Yankees. But if you went to our SportsGrid account on X today, at SportsGrid, will the Yankees sweep the Red Sox in the Bronx, was the question that we asked to the public. A resounding no, and I agree with that. It's hard to sweep a team as is. It's even harder to sweep a really good baseball team, which they both are, and it's even harder to do that, Joe, over a 4-game set that's going to take place this weekend. 82% of the public said, ain't going to be no sweep by the Yankees over the Boston Red Sox in the Bronx.
No, I mean, that's a big ask for the Yankees. But I will say this. The Yankees all year long have been a team where they either lose a lot of games in a row, Donnie, or they win a lot of games in a row. And right now they're on a pretty good winning streak. So could they win 2, maybe the first 3 games of the series? I would. I wouldn't bet against that, or them winning the series outright altogether.
I'll tell you what the people are betting against, shows. You said pros versus Joes on the total in this game, 8.5 listed. Hey, could we get a lot of runs in the Bronx today? Maybe we don't, but it should be a playoff atmosphere this weekend for a 4-game set in the Bronx between the New York Yankees and those Boston Red Sox. But now it's time to get to the news of the day. And what is that? That's not hot topics. It's bye, people. Send them out with a dubstep. Send them out with winners. Leave them wanting more, Joe. That's what we do. Yesterday, as a team, 1-1 on the card yesterday. Milwaukee came up a little bit lame. Extra innings, the Athletics helped us out. So I'm going to ask you this question. Where are you going with your money tonight for the people out there so we can cash in?
Yeah, well, I'm gonna go back to Baltimore here, Donnie, because we just watched this 6 days ago. We watched the rookie Brandon Young almost throw a perfect game against these same Houston Astros. And listen, you've got 2 teams, unfortunately, going in different directions right now. You've got an O's team that has won 6 of their last 7. They're playing inspired baseball. They got a lot of young guys, big prospects that they've called up, and it's working. You've got Brandon Young coming in here in a hobbled shell of themselves offense for Houston. I like the O's to do it again, but I like them early this time. I like Baltimore in the first 5. I think they get to Anderson before this Houston lineup gets to Brandon Young again. I don't know that we're going to get a ton of runs in this game, but I like the chances of the O's playing in front in this one.
Bye, bye, bye. For me, I'm going to go down to Tampa tonight. We're going outdoors and keeping it at George Steinbrenner Field in Tampa, and that's a game between the St. Louis Cardinals and the Tampa Bay Rays. Now, for me, it's going to be simple. I like analytics. That's what I like to use. I have a pitcher today in Sonny Gray that has analytics of an xFIP number of 2.81 over the past 45 days. I then see Joe Boyle at a 520 here. So I have a difference between a 520 xFIP, which is off the charts terrible, and a 281 xFIP here for Sonny Gray, which is very good. Now, the ERAs do differ, but I'm just trusting the smart people, Joe, the analytical crowd, the guys that have the pocket protectors with the pens. That's where we're going today on this. I'm taking Sonny Gray. And by the way, you see that price point about to pop up on the screen, minus 115? Catching a little steam this morning, Joe. Minus 122s, minus 120s in the marketplace. We got some CLV already on those Cardinals here. The people are digging Sonny Gray. And I know you're not actually, but that's okay. It's no big deal.
Well, listen, it's Sonny Gray obviously should have the advantage on the mound for him here, Donnie. So I think it's a coin flip game. Both teams have shown, sometimes it's hard to score some runs in big spots here, but I think if Sonny Gray does his job, they got a pretty good chance of actually winning this game. Who hits more home runs, Donnie? That's who's going to win the game.